Okay, so I know it's been a long time. It's been about 4 months since I've talked to you guys. So let me update you. There's a lot to update you, and there's a lot that still hasn't happened. Um, now that I'm a year into this renovation, 1 year and double the budget, just to give you a sense of how crazy this is. So as you see, there is a portico. It's just not the right portico. That is a temporary portico that they have put up for safety reasons while they still fabricate the columns and all that. But, and I'll show it. I'll flip around and show it to you. But that is getting, they're about to refinish this. I shouldn't say refinish, but they're about to start again to finish it within the next week or two. So very soon I will have some updates. So that will have the original elements put back on. As you recall, I'll put up a picture to show you what it will be. It's 4 columns with arches in between, 4 columns on the bottom, and then this front will get painted and the shutters will go on. So there we go. Now let me kind of show you. Yeah. So that's kind of it for the front. But the one thing, we've been using it. We have some rocking chairs up there. It's really nice to sit out there. So it's nice to have a portico again, except this is the ugliest one in the world. It looks like a deck. I keep joking I'm going to buy a grill and barbecue out there. So you guys are all invited if that's the case. Wow. We had a pause in the renovation for God knows why. They just kind of disappear on you. We've been doing a lot of yard work and a lot of other stuff around the yard. The boxwood, by the way, are really starting to look good. We've been fertilizing them, and by we, I mean Luke has been fertilizing them. So we are getting those in a good shape, and hopefully they will continue to grow. And let's see, what else can I say? We put in, let me show you what's been going on around here. We put in a shade garden. Remember I told you we had plans for putting a shade garden? Well, now we actually have kind of done it. So, again, here's this boxwood alley that we put in earlier that I think I showed you before. And here in this grove of cedars, right there, we wanted to put in a shade garden there. So we've now kind of done that, and it's really nice. So I'll take you down there and show it to you. The grass is a little, you can't tell in here, but we had tons of rain the past week, like every day, heavy rain. So the grass is a little high right now because we couldn't cut it. It was too wet. But I still wanted to show you all this. So here's the little start of the shade garden. Let me turn the camera around and I'll show you that way. All right. So you enter the shade garden from, well, actually we're going to have it enter from a couple of different ways, either here or through the terrace garden. But it's really pretty. We found a bunch of different plants, like the Solomon seal and hostas and ferns and Linton roses and gooseneck. It's just, once this really starts to fill out, it's going to be so pretty. By the way, this has beer in them because it keeps slugs away from eating the hostas. And then we're planting larger stuff along here to kind of create more of a background to it. This is a bunch of astilbe. Luke planted all this, by the way. He's done an amazing job. I'm so excited. It's such a cute space. And then we put this bench here so you can really take in the terrace and the house. But there we go. All right, as I was saying, I'm really happy with the shade garden. I think it's just a nice little spot, and it goes with the whole plan of we're just trying to create different garden rooms. So we have big plans again to work on this in the fall by planting boxwood along the ledges of the terraces, and I'm excited about that. We're finally tackling our problem here along the road with drainage. So there's a huge ditch that's being built that's going to funnel the water across the road. We're having the front part of the driveway poured with concrete and then pea gravel, so it looks like pea gravel, and then hopefully having new gates made. for the pillars because I like wooden gates. So we're going to kind of work on that and do that. The other big exciting thing that we've done is just this weekend, we had somebody come out here who has ground penetrating radar so he could help document where the different outbuildings were and all this stuff. And the very exciting news is we found our privy. So that's great because if you know anything about privies, that's where they used to throw a lot of their trash. And so we're really excited to dig in there and see what we will discover. We actually think there were two privies. Here's privy number one, which is, it's right by the kitchen house, which he said makes a lot of sense because a lot of times they would put them close because the smoke from the kitchen house would kind of mask the smells from the privy. And it's also close to the house, which would make sense. But he also found something by this giant camellia that he thinks was maybe a second privy. I find that the most unusual place to have a privy because it's literally right off the house. Maybe it was a later privy. I don't know. It's just an odd place to have it. But they've already dug down about 4 feet into this hole and found a number of shards. The most exciting thing they found so far is a beer bottle from 1830, an ale bottle, I should say, that was underneath the library wing over here. So we think the guys that were building that little library addition, or the bachelor's room as they called it, they must have been having their ale and dropped on the ground, and it was buried underneath that building for 200 years. So it's in great condition, and we pulled it out and we're going to put it on a shelf there in the library. Okay, the other big stuff that's been happening around here is we've been working on the pasture fence, and we have been putting up a new pool house fence. I'm very excited about that. It's not done, but you'll get a sense of it. So let me show you that. I'll put up a picture to remind you of what the pool house fence looked like before. It was not the prettiest, and it was in really bad shape, and definitely after the hurricane, it was in horrible, horrible shape. And also it was like, it really rambled the way it did. It didn't make any sense to us. So we wanted to change it. I wanted to put up a fence that really kind of mirrored the pasture fence, but a different design. We had gone to Woodlawn in Virginia and saw and admired their fence with the 3 lower boards, a gap, and then the 4th board. Those poles will be reduced in size, and then they're going to be, a board that's on the face of them with a slant. It's a pretty design. I'll show you the picture of that. We have a very pretty gate that's going in here. And then, okay, so I'm going to turn around, and then I'm going to show you the whole gate. All right. So, I'll show up previous stuff, but if you remember, the fence was way wider. And we realized we didn't want all that space around the pool. We wanted it to be a little bit more of a cozy atmosphere. So this is what we have done. And we wanted it also to be very angular. The other one, as I said, kind of rambled. So we have done this here. The other big thing is these variegated privet were on the other side within the pool house walls. We did not like them. So we've had them transplanted over here to create a barrier between the house side and the pool, and we really love that. So all those hedges that made no sense inside the pool are now on the other side of the fence, which make way more sense. Our plan is probably to do baseless potted hydrangea along the fence here, which we think will be really pretty. And then we'll do a hedge on this side, on the outside of the fence, because now you really see the stables. So we realized we need to make the stable look way prettier. I also had the pool redone. Now they just finished it last week, and it's in the process of being cleared. There's my little vacuum. So it's swimmable. It's just not the prettiest right now, but it looks way prettier than before. Because the other one, I don't know if you remember, I'll show a picture. It had this really ugly rusted band. But we're really happy with the look of this and the way it's coming together and how it ties in with the new pasture fence. It just flows way better. So here is our new view. All right. Okay, so the other thing is we put up a hammock. That's not the most exciting thing in the world, but I love where this hammock is so much because it's now one of my favorite views. And so when you're lying in this hammock, it's just a really pretty place to do. Oh, I literally just stepped in a hole. That's when I dug up all those privets. Ah, I'm not editing that out. You're going to kind of see that thing. So originally we were talking about doing this as another kind of garden room, but now we kind of like leaving it the lawn. Well, I say the lawn, it needs a lot of work for it to be a pre-lawn, but I think we like the open expanse of it. So, because we just don't want to block this view that I'm talking about. So let me show you that. By the way, again, I can't remember where I've seen you, but they finished residing everything except they've got to do the trim part up top. Then that will be painted. We'll have shutters made for that. That'll be a little bit more rustic. But it's going to be really pretty. But you can kind of already see what the view is going to be like. But I'm going to get out of the way and I'm going to show you this view. I just love this view. I mean, now you have a full-on view of the pool house. And this pool house porch is probably one of my favorite parts of this renovation. I just love it. And I love all the different roof lines. So from the carriage house to the smoke house to the pool house to the library to the gazebo to the main house, it's just, to me, that's really visually interesting. And I can just sit out here all day and look at that. So hopefully you guys appreciate that too. Now I know that I showed you guys. Oh, by the way, let me show you this. So we have tons of the roof tile that we used on all the buildings left over. And so what I want to do is take that roof tile and replace this hideous roof on the stable to make it prettier. And they'll tie in with everything else. We're also going to put in another window here for the symmetry of this one, because there are two other stalls over here. And then we have to put the bars in them, and then have shutters made for that. So this will also be painted like everything else, and it will start to look way better, I hope. that's my goal, at least. I've shown you the tree allay, but let me show you how it's doing, because now that there are leaves on the trees, you can get a feel of what it's going to be like. I'm super excited as this grows. It will probably be one of my favorite parts of the whole property. By the way, we kind of did a measurement of like how much we're taking care of, like what I would consider the yard, the parts that we're trying to make into garden parts, and it's 3.5 acres. It's a lot to deal with. But we're doing stuff that's more easy, easier, I should say, like this tree allay. But here's the tree allay. Again, I'm going to turn around. Okay, so here is the tree allay. The one big thing is our spigot from this used to be a paddock has to be moved. That has to be torn down. But they're doing really well. As I say, these are red sunset maples that it's a maple that does well at this far south, and it's supposed to have a really brilliant red color. That dog shed right there, by the way, we're tearing that thing down. So, but this is really pretty. Now this is one of my favorite views to sit in the winter. Let me walk you all the way here. Because it has a really pretty view of the house. Clearly you're seeing a theme here. I like to look at the house. But we planted these 2 viburnum that will get big, and then we're going to plant some other stuff to really kind of tie it in. But you can't, I'm going to sit down. You can't tell right now, because it just leaves out so much. But in the winter, you just have this full-on view of the house, and it's so pretty. Okay, I'm going to turn around. All right, so that's the triolet. And let's see. I mean, I've got to show you the camellia ramble. So remember when I had a camellia ramble and was on the south side of the house, but then everybody's like, you can't have it on the south side of the house. It takes too much sun. So we moved it over to the north side of the house. And I just love the way that this is looked out. So let me kind of go show you this thing. But it's one of my favorite new features of it. But this triolet and that new camellia ramble and the shade garden, they're really some of my new favorite parts about this yard. And they're going to, I mean, as they grow, they're just going to make this place feel so different. So I really appreciate that. Oh, have you, I'm going to show you, even if I've shown you before, but we started hanging up all the light fixtures back on the house. So we had a light fixture for the carriage house. Let me show you that. It's really pretty. I'll get closer to it. I still have plans to do this motor court, which hopefully will be happening soon, as soon as the construction ends. Oh, and I have bought these amazing posts at auction. These old hand-turned carved wooden posts that we're going to do the wooden post and the chains to, delineate the motor court from the yard. It'll be really pretty. But look at that beautiful light. And they did such a nice detailing where they have, face nailed all up here on the carriage house. I'm really happy with that. But there we go. Okay, now let me show you the camellia. Okay. So, again, the camellia ramble used to be over here. Not a good spot for it. And now we moved over to the north side. And I'll walk you through it and show you what we're doing. By the way, these two holly, we're going to have create an arch over the gate. So we think that will be really pretty. And then here's the privet that we moved from the other side to really kind of distinguish the two spaces, because the pool and the garden. So here's our path that we're going to do. It starts off with the little ramble. See, look how many camellia we already have. This one was already here. We have this little one, these giant ones, and you kind of twirl through it. I shouldn't say twirl. You kind of ramble through it. Yet another camellia. Here's the pretty pasture fence that's getting done. By the way, I told you about all that rain. That truck is literally stuck in the pasture right now because it was so wet. But look, that pasture fence is so nice. Oh, and you know what else we're doing with it? I'll show a picture of this, but we were watching a Jane Austen film, and they were walking through the Great British Landscape, going from pasture to pasture, and they would had this step thing that would go over the fence, and we thought, because we have a path, it's a horse path that goes all the way through the property, and it ends up back down there at the other end of the pasture. So we thought we should put that step thing over there, and that's what we're doing. They're going to build that step thing so you can walk over the fence and then come back through the pasture and get out over here. So I'm excited. But so here's the ramble. So it comes on the path, and then we have this circle. Now in this circle, we're also going to plant some stuff, but we're going to have like a pretty urn or some kind of garden feature right here in the middle. That's my hose. And then I guess this path will be pea gravel, but it comes along and it's just capturing all these different types of camellia. Here are ones that need more shade. Here's another giant one over here. And then eventually this path, we're going to take even to the front of the house. So we've already started planting some more camellia here. This propane tank is getting buried tomorrow, actually. So that's going to go away, and this will be another path that will wind its way through here and continue on with the garden. We have to get that giant boxwood under control so it'll look a little prettier, but isn't that nice? And I think we'll have like a bench or something right here so you can look back at the house. But to me, this is just a game changer. All right, so I think that might be all I have to show you. Although, again, the contractor is coming back, he said, in a week or two, and they're going to do all the finishing stuff. So it means they're finishing painting, they're finishing the window trim, they're putting the shutters on, all those finishing details are going back on, and then I think the exterior stuff will be done. And I say done because the one main thing that we still have to do are the windows. Now, we have finally found somebody who's going to do the windows, but he is going to do them one window at a time. So it's going to take forever because there are 36 windows that we have to deal with. So I don't know. Let's say it takes them 2 weeks to do each window. Then, as you can see, it's going to take over a year. But that's fine. I don't care. As long as it gets done and we have the original windows back in, I will be thrilled. It will be very nice. But that's it. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to show you is like, what I love about the pool fence and the pasture fence is it really, this was a horse farm for a while. And this reminds me again of being a horse farm because it's almost like where they have the different fences where you kind of lead the horse from one pasture to the other. So you build it where they kind of walk through it. That's what this looks like to me. So I'm really happy with it. All right. So there we go. See, look at that. Love it so much. It's probably not the most exciting update in the world. Oh, wait. I'm going to show you the porch. The back porch is not done. Oh my gosh. Also, we finally found a bookshelf for a bookcase for the library. So let me show you that. So the back porch is not done in the fact that they still have not put on the last bit of finishing trim or painted it. So, but we're like, screw that. It's summer. We need our porch. So we're living on, we have all the furniture back on. It looks really pretty, even though it's not painted. So just keep that in mind when I show it to you. It's not painted. It's very close to being painted, and then it's going to be gorgeous. I repainted all the wicker furniture. I had new cushions made that I'm really happy with. Although, never asked me to measure anything because I found a lady who's been great doing stuff, and I was like, use this fabric and make pillows out of them. And she's like, what size pillows? I'm like, I don't want them to be too big, so do like 12 by 12. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, totally, 12 by 12. They're the tiniest little tiniest little pillows. So I have to have new pillows made. All right, let me show you. Okay, so just before I show you, we had to have the base of this column rebuilt because it had been rotted over time. Anyway, see, they still haven't painted this. They haven't painted up here. But the fans are back on, the lights back up. It's heaven. I don't know if you ever saw this chaise, but I bought this chaise at auction, and then we painted it. Look at that little bitty pillow. This is not the actual cushion that they did, and she's still making the bottom part, so that has to be done. But here we go. Look at these little pillows. They're so cute. That one's nice. Little bitty pillows. Anyway, so we have a table out here now so we can eat and entertain off. It's been really, really nice. I just love this porch so much. My big plans to finish is the floor is being painted. The whole thing's being painted. The shutters are actually being hung properly and painted. I'm having a new screen door made for here. Oh, and then here's the library. Look, is that nice? Okay, let me adjust this. Okay, isn't that pretty? It is so. That's probably the heaviest piece of furniture I have ever moved in my entire life. It was so heavy. But this room is easily one of my favorites now. We hung up a couple swords above the door. It really is a nice office space. And then it has this beautiful view out on the new camellia garden. See, and you can really see the curve of the path. And the beautiful propane tank that's going away. But there we go. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I'm sorry that took so long. But, as I say, there was just gaps of time when they weren't even working on anything. So I felt very frustrated by it. But it's nice to know they've started again and we're so nearing the end. Anyway, hopefully you'll have some stuff to show very, very soon. And then we're going to start the interior stuff, all the painting and everything. That we've had a heck of a time finding somebody to paint. I don't know why, but we finally found somebody and they went to the hospital, and then, hopefully they're okay. But anyway, as soon as we find somebody, we're going to start the painting, and then we're having fabric, and not fabric made, but curtains made. So it will really start to come together. But I will update you guys soon. Okay, bye.